This video is going to be a treat. You've got this brilliant level crossing box over here. You've got abandoned rails just through here and the level crossing just up there. This is part of a major greenway going through to the city of Lichfield. I'm starting today's video right on the Lichfield Canal. This is a canal in restoration and one you'll see quite a lot on my main channel. I'm actually an ambassador for the Canal Trust there, so I know the canal very well. But what you've got ahead of us here is very cool. Now look at this. This is an old level crossing box, and right here the level crossing is still in place. Now I'm down here today to meet some people from a group called Back the Track who are currently clearing this to make it as a greenway through into Lichfield.
Okay, so I'm Guy Frienson. I'm representing the group of volunteers called Back the Track here in the West Midlands. So we're on the railway track here, and this is known as Fossway railway track. This railway track that comes down here used to come from all the way from Lichfield all the way to Walsall, and it goes through Pipehill and Hammerwich on the way, and through Pelsall and all the way down to Walsall.
So this wonderful old box here it's incredible. It's still here and standing. You know, a lot of them have been lost. You see them on heritage railways, but quite often they're in the way. It's just really good to see it here, but it does need a bit of work. And there are rumours that someone's looking at buying it and turn it into a cafe, which would be fantastic with this greenway through here and the canal to the side of it, to have a cafe in the middle and a nice little extra loop in this area for walking and potentially cycling. One other very cool thing here is this is on a bit of an incline, and you may know that railways do not like steep inclines. You always have to go quite a shallow gradient because the steel wheels and the steel track, they spin and you get issues. A bit better with diesel engines where there was more torque and stuff, but especially back in the day with sort of steam railways, it really sort of struggled to get up them. So one thing they've done here, and you can still see it in the tracks that exist here, they've cut into the tracks. You can see it better on this side. You can see this kind of groove out of it, and then they've melted, I think it's nickel into there, and that allows an extra grip on the rails between the steel rails and the steel wheels, so the wheels don't spin as they're climbing up.
Back the Track originally was trying to turn the railway track into a greenway so people could walk and cycle down there, and we've had some help from Walsall Council at the Walsall end, and that's been tarmacked up to there, and then as it comes through Pelsall and up to Brown Hills and as far as the A5 road, that was just like a bog originally. It was totally flooded, lots of trees and brambles, totally overgrown, you couldn't get through it at all. So over the years, Back the Track have been clearing all that track so you can actually get through there. And now we've actually had that part adopted by Sustrans, Sustainable Transport, and they're actually started to tarmac now from Pelsall, and they're going to eventually get all the way up to Brown Hills on the A5.
The plan is that the tracks here are going to be lifted very soon, and it's quite good because they're recycling a lot of it as well. So I think it's 300 tonnes of ballast is going to the Severn Valley Railway. There's also 1,000 metres of track going to them as well. They're also going to take some of the sleepers, because sleepers are still here, the old wooden ones. They're not necessarily all in the best condition, but apparently some of them are still quite good and ready to use. Chasewater Steam Railway, which is local to here, is a shorter railway. They're also looking at possible options of taking some of this on. So it's quite good that before they've even lifted it, there are places that are happy to take it on and use it. You know, that recycling culture is good for this. If you are involved in a heritage railway or anywhere and you want some of this, contact Lichfield City Council, because I'm sure they'll be quite happy for you to take it away and save them the costs of disposing of it. The rest of the track that's left will be scrapped, and that will help pay for the lifting of it, which, you know, again makes it easier for the group to be able to maintain themselves and stuff, because they don't have to pay those costs.
And then Lichfield Council came to us, and there was another section from after the A5 all the way to Lichfield, which is totally overgrown, totally disused. There's still a single track of rail on it, but they wanted to turn that into a greenway. They'd seen what we'd done at the Walsall and Brown Hills end, and they wanted to extend all the way to Lichfield. We worked with Lichfield Council, and they've managed to get the lease from Network Rail for the track, and they came to us and asked us would we clear the track for it, because you couldn't really get through. So what we've been doing over the last year, we've been just making it ready for wild walking. So we've got rid of some of the brambles, some of the trees, and extending through just over 4 miles all the way from the A5 road going north to Lichfield, and now you can actually get all the way through.
The route is named after John McLean, and he was very well known in this area, and he was involved in a lot of projects. This was the first ever railway to be owned solely by one person. Before that, all the railways have been, been groups of people, groups of investors with boards and all that lot. So it was quite unique at the time. And he must have been quite a wealthy man, because he was also involved in water. And there were issues down this way with sort of cholera and stuff, where the water they were drinking was very dirty. So he pumped from the Black Country water all the way through here. And this line actually has a pipe underneath that feeds down to the Sandfields pumping station, which is a bit further down here, and it's a remarkable building. How cool would it be to own your own railway? I would definitely have my own little train going up and down. Yeah, that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Who needs a taxi or an Uber when you can just call your engine in? But yeah, this sits next to the Lichfield Canal, and this follows actually quite a lot of the routes all the way down. The Lichfield Canal kind of snakes by the side of it. We're going to walk to the end here, where there's a bridge, which was actually built when the new bypass was built, because there was always a hope that this line was going to be reintroduced as a passenger service, but that's obviously been cancelled now. So that helps this greenway quite a bit, because it allows traffic-free routes over some of the main roads in the area. At that point, the canal doesn't follow the original route and goes off on a sharp right turn. So that's where you're going to lose the sort of canal and railway side by side. But how cool would it be if there were tracks down from here joining into what are 2 tracks down at the canal? And what you can see below us is the canal is kind of in the middle. The towpath is on that hedge side, the canal, and then there's a nature trail. And this is Fossway Heath Nature Reserve, and this is one of the Lichfield Canal's major projects. So if you could come off of this greenway down into that green area, and green and blue eventually when they fill it up, it'd be quite a nice little sort of walking loop to be able to do. This also adds to what I always say about canals. Having this green corridor running through, this linear corridor, is going to be fantastic next to the canal, because the canal was the blue and green corridor, taking another linear corridor, and it joins up all those ecosystems. So having this side by side and then going off in their own directions as a really big nature area into the city.
Back at the track, they've got a website, and we're on Facebook, and we've got a page on there. You can actually donate money to us. We've got a lot of tooling here. We use our own tools, but some people have donated either money or tools to us. So we've got some tools, but we're always after more. 2 companies in particular have helped us. There's a company called BAT, B-A-T. They've come and helped us a lot. And also there's another firm who do some work for Network Rail called Quattro, and they're going to be starting to work soon with the heavy duty work.
I feel like Stand By Me at the moment, walking down these tracks. It's really cool. You don't often get to see the tracks in place like this on an area you're actually allowed to walk in. Unfortunately, this will be lost when this is all lifted, but it's good to see at the moment. Now, as I said just a second ago, part of this has been adopted by Sustrans further down, and it's all been tarmacked and stuff. Now, there isn't going to be that situation here at the moment, so they need to make this as easy to walk on as possible. So there'll be some levelling out and stuff done here, I expect, but that's about it at the moment. Maybe one day this can be adopted by Sustrans, and it'll be a much nicer cycling route as well. So my other channel is Caught Above the Cut. That's my main channel, and that's covering a lot of canal restorations and stuff like that, and a bit of canal history and engineering. This channel is going to be a bit more railways mainly, as well as sort of other things, like I might do a bit on Roman roads and stuff, but primarily it's going to be Industrial Revolution. I'd love for you to come along the journey of this channel, so please do hit that like and subscribe. It's really important, especially in these early days, to get as many subscribers as possible who are going to watch the videos. So if you feel like you may like my content, please hit that subscribe button.
If you go onto Facebook and like us, and maybe give us a donation, that would be helpful. Recently we've had quite a few extra volunteers coming on, but we're always glad for new volunteers to come along, and you can go onto our website or Facebook, find our contacts, make contact with us and come along and join us. We work every Monday morning for a few hours, and then those who want to go to the pub afterwards can do.
Then we've got quite a bit of two-track in here. As you can see here, look, some of the sleepers are missing and stuff where they've rotted away. You've literally just got the little tiny bit sticking out there, which is quite cool. This down here to the side of the tracks is kind of one of the bigger areas. So the canal is up that little embankment there, and the bit through here is going to be a bit of a wetland, which will be quite cool. And you can see in a few places where there's been some pipes and stuff left, that there will become quite good habitat if it's left. All of these projects, from kind of these cycle routes that are being put through everywhere and all the canal restorations and stuff that are happening, are really good greenways. They're really good for the environment. I know there was growth down here, but it's all a lot of stuff that's actually not that great. So if sort of planting and stuff can be done down here as well, then you create a really diverse ecosystem. And it's great for all the local areas, and it's great for people as well. So your mental health is much better if you can exercise in green spaces. And a lot of the time in cities, especially places like Lichfield where there's a lot of development going on, it's quite hard to find those green spaces. So projects like this need as much backing as possible to be able to make them happen and give everybody that outdoor that they can go to, away from pollution, in a nice, safe environment. It helps the NHS as well, because healthier living means less money spent on the NHS because your heart health's better. I myself am overweight, but I've lost quite a lot of weight. I've lost about 3.5 stone this year so far, and it's amazing how much better it makes you feel. And most of that weight has been lost, one, by diet. I'm not going to lie, my diet's changed drastically, but two, because I do so much walking now, covering canals and hopefully railways soon for all my channels, and I feel a million times better for it. So find your local areas like this, your local greenways, your local old abandoned canals and railways, and see if you can help out and get these routes in. This is a new bridge that was put in place a few years back when the road below us was built. I'm going to try and find a route down here now to get onto the canal and just show you what's happening there. Now there's tons of ballast here which could be used to make a slope, you know, a gentle slope winding in and down here onto the canal, or even some of the old sleepers, which some of them are good enough to be used but probably not good enough to go to a heritage railway. So Lichfield and Hatherton Canal Trust, I'll be messaging you later, why don't you get on this and see if we can make a couple of routes to drop down this embankment into your wonderful environmental area at the bottom. It would really benefit this area to have both very joined up. And this is a section where the canal would have diverted, so the railway is there, and you can see the canal turns sharply off there, which goes into a load of new developments. That's the St John's area, and eventually goes down to the areas they're working at like Lock 24 and various places like that. So this whole area here, like I say, will be filled with water, but the canal channel will go down through the back there. This does two things for the canal itself, because it gives a big store of water, especially with all the locks down there, so it acts as like a giant pound, but it also allows this sort of wetland area to have an actual pool all the time, and then the actual wetland bit is in front of us here. Now I'm not sure how they're going to manage this, if any of this will be constantly full of water. Maybe someone from LHCRT can answer that for me, but yeah, it's going to be quite cool alongside that railway, which is just up there on that embankment. So being a new channel, I'm up to suggestions of any sort of railways you want me to visit, either heritage or abandoned or greenways or anything like that that's happening. I've got some plans locally to me on a few. There's a branch railway next to me, and also some in Bath. There's a couple of cool tunnels and stuff that have been turned into cycleways. But yeah, always open for suggestions. So don't forget to support the McLean Way. Go on the website and see how you can help, and also for the Lichfield and Hatherton Canal Restoration Trust. Both would be happy for your volunteer hours if you can give them. Have a great day.